Hello, welcome to Futbol Europa podcast. Today, alongside me is Carlos and Sean once again. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you for having me.
Yep, thanks for having me as well.
Yep, so today we have quite a lot of games to discuss, and we'll start with Real Madrid Levante, and then we'll move on to Man United versus Leicester, and then we'll just see how various teams across Europe fare up for the Champions League games and Europa League games coming up next week in midweek. So, starting off from Levante versus Real Madrid, and I'll get the ball rolling. So Real Madrid started with their 4-3-3 formation for the kickoff, but they moved to 4-2-3-1 when they were attacking, and I expected James to play on the uh, left side, but he was playing on the right side, and he was more of a box-to-box midfielder with Cruz dropping down as double pivot alongside Casemiro, and they aligned like 4-2, like the four Marcelo, Ramos, Varane, and Carvajal with Kroos and Casemiro as pivots, and then James as a creative midfielder, and alongside with Vinicius and Vasquez and Benzema doing what he does the best. Not the best, but yeah, he was finally acting as a striker. He was playing the role of more of a goal scorer rather than a link-up player. So it worked well, and while defending, I'd say they switched back to 4-3-3, and uh, the James and James would drop back to give the midfield more numbers while defending, I would say. So also something which is unique, which I noticed was it was more like there were two spheres of plays on left and on right, and the left-oriented attack was more focused on Vinicius, Kroos, and Benzema. While on the right side, it was more of Casemiro, Vasquez, James, and Carvajal. So they were like playing their own games, and then when they reached the final third, so they switched the play amongst them with crosses and with horizontal passes. And that's pretty much what I thought of the game because they are overcrowded these two spaces whenever they had to create any chance. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I felt we played good, but obviously Levante was not playing that great. I felt they gave us a lot of possession, and we did decently with the possession. I felt they did not counter press too intently. Because of which we were able to maintain the possession, and every time they got the ball, we were able to press quickly with intensity because we didn't have to use a lot of intensity throughout the game. When we did not have the ball, the few times that we did not have the ball, we were able to press with a lot of intensity in the first half and get the ball back well. Um, it it's very I would say the first half was a typical Zinedine Zidane kind of a team where we played with a lot of crosses, especially a lot of aerial crosses, a lot of early crosses as well also, and we were not probably I think after 5 or 6 crosses we got the first shot on goal via and which became a goal also. So basically, it was not just a shot on goal; it actually became a goal, which was through Benzema. For me, in this game particularly, I liked the how James played. I felt James was given a lot of freedom. It reminded me a little bit of how much the kind of freedom that Isco was being given when we played 4-4-2 Diamond. And I liked what he brought to the game. He had. I think he has that extra creativity. That the team was missing, and that he helps in that aspect. And I've always generally felt that the idea of James, Benzema, and Hazard as a top three is the one that I would prefer over Bale also, because I feel James is able to stay fit over a whole season and he adds more to the game in terms of assists and goals, while Bale is more goal dependent and generally off late while he's been scoring goals, I'm not really sure whether he'll be able to do it for the entire season. And I think his playing style does not suit with the other players, but James does, and he can share the goals also. So I like the idea of the front three of James, Benzema, and Hazard.
Yeah, but James can also play as a creative midfielder as he did, and instead of Vinicius, you can put in Bale, and even that would work, no?
Um,
Because Bale gives in more than Vinicius for sure.
Sure.
Sorry, Vasquez, not Vinicius.
Sure. I mean, I'm saying from the point of view that I still see us playing a 4-3-3 more likely, and I think Modric will play more. So from that perspective, I would like to. I think if you look at the overall. I'm talking from a numerical point of view, you will still see that Modric will play more games than James in the midfield. So I think in that case, James should eventually play more games than Bale on the right hand side, and on the left hand side it will be Hazard. I mean, we'll see how it goes further. But in my headspace, I like that combination a lot because each of them are possible that all three of them can score up to 15 to 20 goals each, which will counteract for the high number of goals that Cristiano Ronaldo used to score in our entire attack before. And I think both James and Hazard are creative enough to help each other out also.
But what do you think happened in the second half where Real Madrid just faltered from their structure?
I felt it was just lack of concentration basically.
But even Casemiro came off and Levante changed their formation and they were more tight, I would say, in spaces. They weren't leaving that many open spaces. And again, as we conceded in the usual way, which we concede like one or two passes, unlock the defense, and that's pretty much it.
I felt that only the first goal was where they really played well.
Yeah.
And in the first goal, I could say Ramos could have done more. I think the second goal was more of a Courtois fault. I think he could have stopped that goal.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I felt just that because we were 3-0 up at the first half, we had an overall lack in concentration. I felt this was comparatively different from the goals we conceded in the other matches where it was more of a systemic issue.
Yeah.
I felt this was a little more of a concentration issue than a systemic issue.
Mm-hmm.
Again, not because we played a better system. I just felt that Levante is the kind of team that does not need a lot of the ball. And also, they did not press heavily.
Yeah.
In the little bit that they got, they made use of the lack of concentration of our team really well.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how they play against Sevilla or Levante. Paris, or even against likes of Bilbao ahead, because they are the teams which will.
We'll know better how our status is once we play against PSG, and I think we have also the not the Clásico, the derby at the end of the month. So,
by the way, Real Sociedad beat Atletico de Madrid, so the point difference is only of 1 point.
Real Sociedad. Did Odegaard score?
Yeah, Odegaard scored the first goal, and the second was scored by his teammate. I don't know his name. Sorry.
Okay, so great. So overall, good week for Real Madrid as of now.
So far, so good. And moving on to the United game against Leicester City, and they won 1-0 thanks to the penalty of Rashford. I guess Rashford scored.
Yes.
Yeah. So, what's your take on that, Sean?
Yeah, so the game was pretty good in comparison, given I think a lot of people watching Man United, I think we were really worried that against such top 6 contending team like Leicester and with the injuries we've had, to either be a draw or loss. I mean, they've put in a good performance the past few weeks. Let's in all fairness, with such a young club. Similarly to Chelsea, but yeah, they did put in a good shift. It was a solid game to watch. Daniel James on the left. That's really to see two wingers so fast with such pace on the left and right, and in Daniel James and Martial was injured, but having Rashford run sometimes on the right, and the centre-back pairing of Maguire and Lindelof to be able to keep Maddison and Jamie Vardy quiet, I think that says a lot, because Leicester didn't have many a chance. They only got 3 shots on target, so that goes to show that we were really trying to be defensive. They didn't create as many chances, and the only problem I see in United's game is that we do have really good players. Daniel James, McTominay did brilliantly well. He was cutting off all the passes. We have a solid back line now, and Young is actually a really good left back as a backup since Shaw's injured. Lindelof, Maguire, I think their communication is starting to come together. You have Wan-Bissaka on the right back. So we're solid there, and with De Gea in goal, I don't think I think we can rival Man City and Liverpool for their defensive side. But what really lacks is you can clearly tell that we're sorely missing Pogba because there's a lack of creativity when it comes to that. Because yeah, we've had good chances, but not as many as we'd like. Definitely, there were a couple of good times. Pereira and Rashford took two free kicks, a free kick each, and unfortunately it didn't go into the goal. I think Pereira's one got set. His was shot into the top corner and it still got saved, and Rashford was just it hit the wrong side of the woodwork. So have to say that it is a it's not their best day, especially with all the injuries. But they going forward, it shows that there's something. There's the why I think we as Man U supporters are okay is that you can tell that Solskjaer is having progress compared to the last few years. There is a progress despite the results of draw to Wolves and a loss to Crystal Palace. There's more hope than there was the past couple of years with Moyes, with Van Gaal, with Marino, and yeah, just I think to be able to come out, grind out such a result in light of the injuries, I think that's good. But
Yeah.
just need to create more chances.
Yeah. So we can always remember that even Klopp didn't win any titles in first few years at Liverpool, and even Pep Guardiola had a very poor season
Yeah.
in Man City when he arrived. So yeah, it takes time, and if there is progress, if there is a glimpse of any structure and all the stuff, that's pretty
Yeah.
much welcomed by the fans.
I think we're seeing we're hoping again because Pep and Klopp have definitely shown what it is to have be allowed to rebuild, and I think Lampard's showing as well. I think on Man United and Chelsea's side, we're showing the hope in terms of us having homegrown academy products. Because Tammy Abraham scored a hat trick yesterday,
Yeah.
and there was
He scored a hat trick.
and an own goal. Yeah,
Yeah.
I focus more on the hat trick. They won. It's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was good to watch. I think even though Liverpool sitting with 5 wins right now in 5 games, Man City.
Yeah, I
They
was coming to that only. Man City lost 3-2
they're sitting in
to
second.
Norwich.
Yeah, they're sitting in second right now, and with Man United sitting in pretty fourth. So that's just
So far, so good.
so far so good. I think it's good. It's just good to see that despite the last 2 to 3 bad results, it goes to show that yeah, the season is 38 games long. It's not just a couple of games. So I mean, Liverpool, Man City, Tottenham, Man U.
Yeah,
It's going to be a long season.
it is. And I was surprised that Wolves didn't do quite well against Chelsea, but it happens.
Yeah, I mean, Wolves are a really really strong team this season, but
Yeah, but the
It's
loss
a-
against Chelsea was like 5-2 or something.
yeah, it's unfortunate
that's-
to see them just sitting right at the bottom of the table now with 3 draws and 2 wins, so 2 losses. So I mean, the type of players they have, I mean, with Moutinho and all the other players as well, they should be
competing
don't
for
think-
say
I-
Europa League at least.
and like we said the other day, I think
We predicted them to be fighting for Champions League
yeah,
spot.
we predicted them to be fighting for Champions League spot, but I think it goes to show it's the same. We did cautious the fact that same thing happened to Leicester when they a bit of more than they could chew after winning the league, where they didn't have enough experience or squad depth to be able to do so many tournaments. And I think it's starting to show, even with
But Leicester were lucky enough to keep Kante and Vardy and who's the other guy who's in Man City right now? Mahrez.
Yeah.
For a season also.
Yeah, they were lucky to keep that and then be able to stay okay on the top flight. But I think Wolves, it's a bigger struggle basically. Where yes, they're in the Europa League, but you can tell that because of what they have, it's not really, even with the skill, it's not translating because they're playing too many tournaments.
Sure. Yeah. So it kind of brings me to Valencia, and Marcelino got sacked because he won the Europa League. He says that. So his argument was, those of you who don't know the backstory, that Valencia focused on winning on the Champions League spot, so they wanted to finish top four. But Marcelino said that okay, we should win titles because we haven't won any in the past decade, so we should focus on Copa del Rey. So he kind of risked the top four position, but eventually he ended up getting the Champions League spot and winning the Copa del Rey. But still, he got fired, and according to him, Peter Lim, the owner of Valencia, didn't like it and didn't even congratulate him on the title, but congratulated him on the top four finish. So yeah, and Valencia lost 5-2 to Barcelona, and Suarez got his double, and Ansu Fati has been quite
Fabulous.
Yeah,
He's been really, really good.
Yeah, he's been really good, and even Valverde said that we have to protect him from all the hype now, because that's our responsibility.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he incorporates himself into the team. Dembele is injured, right? Still injured, right? So I'm sure that would give him a lot of opportunities, and not just him. I felt even Perez played really well. I liked Perez when I saw him. I think in the preseason game or something like that. He's been also doing well. So actually, I felt. In a way, they were lucky that they didn't get Neymar, I guess, because I felt their squad right now has the correct kind of depth that they need in terms of attack, and I think they have a better squad this year than they had last year overall. I feel they've addressed most of their issues also, so it'll be interesting to see how they play. The only problem they'll have is in their starting lineup when they need to play Messi, Suarez, and Griezmann together. I just don't see how that fits in properly, but I'm interested to see how that happens. And but yeah, the backup options I think are not too bad right now, and they have, because they've started the ball rolling really well, I think they'll have the right confidence to try and win well for them. Overall, also, I even when I saw that match, I felt Barcelona was always basically on the front foot, and they were playing really, really well. So I think both Barcelona have slowly changed their gear, I would say, from the beginning, first game of the season to now. You can see that they've slowly changed their gear, so I think it'll be interesting to see how they play the next few games.
Yeah, so they face Dortmund in the Champions League group stage. So how do you look at that?
They're playing Dortmund away, right? So I think it'll be good test for them.
And Dortmund have been like top of the table for Bundesliga.
I think so, and also I think Dortmund signings this year was also good, and they're already on a good system right now.
Yeah.
Dortmund is the kind of team that would love to play against Barcelona.
Yeah.
In the sense, because they'll not sit back. Barcelona will try to attack.
They will counter press, and
they'll counter press, and they're the perfect team to play against. So.
Just Dortmund second. Leipzig is top of the table right now.
Leipzig was okay. Leipzig faces Bayern München, right? Or they have already played against Bayern. Leipzig versus Bayern.
I didn't check the pictures. I just went straight to the table. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll just check it. Anyways, so
basically, as I was saying,
Dortmund would love to play against Barcelona.
Yeah, Barcelona, and that'd be good test for them also.
It's a match of styles, you know.
Yep. For us, just thinking about that, when we are facing PSG, I think PSG won the match with a 90 plus minute goal from Neymar.
Yeah, so Leipzig versus Bayern München was 1-1 draw, and Robert Lewandowski scored in 3rd minute, and then Emil Forsberg scored a penalty in the 45th minute, and that's it.
So yeah, basically, since PSG they got the 3 points in their league game by 99 injury time goal by Neymar. I think the subtext for our match would be very interesting, at least from their side. Are we playing at PSG at home or away?
Away.
Oh, so it'll be very
and then against Sevilla away.
So it'll be very interesting to see how the PSG game away is. It'll also be interesting because I think Neymar will start that game.
Real Madrid are underdogs for that game. The odds are like 3-1 for them.
Oh, perfectly justified
and
right now.
2-1 for PSG.
I think it's perfectly justified for right now. So that'll be an interesting game to see.
Yeah. And so, Carlos, you watched the Juventus versus Fiorentina game, I guess.
Yes, I did see that game.
So
I found that game I've told this before. I was very interested to see how Sarri would approach the Juventus, his Juventus problem. Um, Unfortunately, he's not been well for the last couple of match days, and this is the first time he's actually there on the dugout. There's nothing right now, that in that team that looks anything like a Sarri team. So probably it's obviously a work in progress. But still, there are certain things I've not completely understood. I'm not really sure why Khedira is starting so much. Really, I don't see how he gets to. I don't know how he was selected in the Champions League squad over Emre Can, when Emre Can is basically a younger and a better version of Khedira right now. So if Khedira was like 10 years younger, that's what Emre Can would be, I guess. So that's certain things about it I found funny. Overall, I felt Fiorentina had the better game. I felt they had more shots. They had more shots on target. They had actually missed a lot of big chances. And I felt overall that Sarri's stamp is not there in Juventus. And I'm not 100% sure how that squad really fits a Juventus mold. They're also unlucky, I felt, in terms of the fact that Diego Costa had to leave early, and I think also Pjanic had to leave early. So basically, he didn't get to choose or play with the players that he would have liked in his best system.
Yep. So Juventus play against Atletico de Madrid in Champions League. So who do you see as favorites?
I think for the Champions League match, I would say Atletico Madrid is favorite right now because
It's a home game for Atletico, right?
I'm not sure about that. But the main point I would say is I think Atletico is more well drilled into the way Simeone wants them to play, and they've been playing well, except probably the last game.
And
But Sarri's
Joao
case, I would
Felix
not
is
say.
quite in form.
And Sarri's case is not the same with Juventus. But Champions League has Juventus have the X factor in
Cristiano,
Ronaldo.
yeah.
Though I'm not sure he will have that full mentality right now because it's a group stage game. It
So
depends
it's
on how the crowd reacts to him. If the crowd try to boo him, I think it'll bring
Yeah,
his
it lights a
competitive
fire
mode.
in him, and he's
It'll
more
bring his
motivated to.
competitive mode.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see. But if you ask me purely from a preparation point of view, I think Atletico Madrid is far better prepared than Juventus is.
Yeah,
right
they
now.
even have a better preseason, and it's interesting. Like
Inter also won, so basically
Yeah.
they are still 2 points.
I'm just
above.
saying that Inter Milan and Atletico de Madrid had the best transfer windows, and they are looking like the most stable teams right now across Europe. Even Dortmund can be in that category, I guess, if
Yes.
not so. So, whom does United play against in the Champions League? Sean?
Champions League?
Yeah, United plays against whom in Champions League?
Nah, they're not.
Oh, sorry, in the Europa League. I'm sorry, my bad. Yeah, it's
Not sure where Astana's from, but they're playing against Astana. I don't know which team that is. But yeah, because I didn't really.
I'll just pull it up. No worries.
I didn't really keep track.
I just want to get your view. Like, how do you preview your game against your opponent in the Europa League?
In the Europa League, I think. Actually, I think what Solskjaer is going to do is he's going to play a couple of more riskier teams because I don't think like he's going to put up Greenwood or players like Tahith Chong. I think
It's a home game, so it should be quite an interesting game for you guys.
And I think it's lucky that I don't know. It's hard to say. I've never kept track of a team like Astana.
Astana, I don't even know if I've heard of it before.
Yeah, so like I can't say much, but I'm excited that there's European competition, and I think it's the real test where see whether we can rotate the squad
It's
properly.
from Kazakhstan.
See, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
But I think it really shows that we would like to I think aiming high, that's one of the things, but at the same time I think the proper exposure to the youth players of the team right now, I think that would be a good start, that and the FA Cup or the League Cup as well. So sorry, I can't say much else because
It's alright.
Astana is from Kazakhstan, which you just found out.
Yeah,
but
and they are fourth in the table, so
Yeah, it's just one of those things, but it's fun. It's fun to watch. It'll be fun to watch that day. I'm excited to see who gets to play. Hopefully, if Fred gets a good run of games, I think he'll be a good midfielder with Fred, McTominay, and Pogba. If once Pogba gets fit, so
Yeah.
um, I'm happy. I'm happy that Solskjaer's rotating Pereira and Lingard because I think both of them right now, they try. He's trying different things out, and hopefully, someone can come good in such a way that the first 11 it becomes a solid thing. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, that sounds interesting for United. So, uh, Carvajal is jet lagged, and Casemiro is jet lagged. Ramos has a suspension, and Hazard hasn't really been like match fit right now. Isco is not there, and Modric is likely to miss the Champions League game against PSG. So, how do you see Real Madrid against PSG? Like, how do they line up and how do they approach the game?
I think the defense they will definitely play Varane and Militao. I think that's why they tested it in the last 30 minutes.
Yep.
Not the best of test, I guess.
Yeah, and Milicio wasn't really. I don't know if I might have missed because my stream was quite slow and it was buffering quite a bit. But whenever Real Madrid was suffering a counter attack, I didn't see Milicio in the defense. He was like probably the last one to track back.
I think he and Varane don't have an understanding together right now, so I think that will affect them. But this is thankfully this is the game where you could test this out, and we did not have any impact of it. So they'll get a much more difficult test, obviously, in the next game against PSG. I'm more worried in terms of Marcelo's side because I feel he could be torched by Mbappe, and that's where Milicia will really suffer. So he'll have to have that covered up, and I think Casemiro will definitely play. That's why he was substituted, and I think it's very important in this game that Casemiro plays the entire 90 minutes. James had a good game, so I hope James will also play. So it'll be. I still see PSG as slight favourites, but mainly because I feel that they still have some sort of a system that they've always had. And in our case, since all of our players are in and out, I'm not really sure how it would be. But I still see. I think we will see. Bale is not suspended, right? So I think Bale will play. I think
Bale and Hazard might feature.
So I think Bale, Hazard, and Benzema are likely to start.
Yep.
I think in midfield we will definitely see Modric. Sorry, not Modric. We'll see Kroos, Casemiro, James. I think so, and our backline will be the same as
Marcelo, Militao, Varane, Carvajal.
Yep, that's how I see it happening. I still think we'll try to play a lot of crosses in, which I hope doesn't happen. Especially as I see Bale crossing a lot.
Yeah.
I see that happening. So I hope we play a lot. I also
but
feel
Bale can also play 1-2s with James if he's into that.
I'm just feeling that we will James and Bale will connect on the right. And
yep.
I would like to see if the crosses are going to go in. I would rather have James crossing in and Bale making more runs in. And on the left hand side, I think there'll be lesser crosses. I think Hazard will try to move in, penetrate with the ball in, and basically you'll have to look at a lot of individual talents to score our goals rather than a proper system. Creating lots of chances.
Yeah. Probably there will be quite a lot of shots on goal from outside the box if James and Bale play together because they both fancy a chance.
This would be also very, I would say, big game for Zidane. If he loses this game, then he'll enter into a lot of pressure for the Atletico Madrid game. So if these two games he loses, I think there'll be...
even against Sevilla away, that's...
True, but I think this is his first real big game where he'll have a real big test.
It's quite a month for him because he's playing El Clasico, Derby, Sevilla, Paris, and maybe one or two more games which I'm missing out, which are quite tough right now.
Right, so I think this will basically, if he needs to get this game right, to get some leeway if he screws up in any of the games. But if this game he screws up and the next game also is screwed up, it'll be an avalanche in terms of the pressure that he's going to face. He can obviously handle the pressure. I don't have any issues with that, but I'm not really sure that while handling the pressure anything is going to change for the better if it is already bad.
Yeah, I'm just pulling out the games which Real Madrid have this week, like in the coming weeks. So just bear with me for a second. Uh, I just want to finish off on the note that we have a tough schedule, and that's pretty much it. So here it is. So we play against PSG, then Sevilla away, then Osasuna at home, Atletico de Madrid home, yep, and then Club Brugge in Champions League, Granada, Mallorca, Galatasaray, Barcelona, and then Leganes. Leganes and Barcelona together are quite tough games because Leganes have a good record in past season or two at against Real Madrid, and so did Levante for the past 2 seasons. And
So his
let's see
immediate
how.
pressure will be these three
Yeah,
games, I would
so
say.
yeah, so let's see how it fares, and maybe hopefully the injury crisis will be ended by then. Hopefully, everyone
Hopefully.
will be fit. So that's pretty much it, and we didn't really have any questions, so we couldn't discuss anything much more rather than what we already did. Thank you for listening, Football the Europa podcast, and hopefully we will have quite a lot to talk about next week. Thank you so much. Keep listening to Football the Europa podcast, and adios.